Welcome to Castle Hill. Let's take a moment just to be quiet and listen to these thoughts. May we find again that silent moment each day where everything pauses and silence grows, big enough to hold everything as the sun slips into every day and faith becomes impossibly real and we see beyond the world's limits and touch something eternal. That moment is our deepest prayer, O God. Listen for a word from God from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 9. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers to his harvest field." Jesus called his disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. Let's take a moment to reflect on this time. When at times it can be hard to not struggle with aspects of the faith and maybe difficult to pray. This is called the lost prayer. When we cannot find the words to say thanks, and we cannot find the time to meet you, when we cannot find the space to forgive, find us, O God. Be the word, be the time, be the space between us. When we cannot find peace in the world, when we cannot find justice between us, when we cannot find equality for everyone, find us, O God. Be the peace, the justice, the equality between us. When we cannot find what we are looking for, may you join us in the search, that we might first find each other, and then all things are possible. Feed my sheep. There are no conditions. Feed my sheep. There's no question about deserving. Feed my sheep. But I don't have time. I'm too busy. I don't know how. Feed my sheep. But I don't feel like it. I'm not in the frame of mind. I don't know any of them. Feed my sheep. But it isn't efficient. I could do other things. It's not part of the program. Feed my sheep. But we're in a pandemic. We've got to balance budgets. We've got to wait till lockdown is over. Feed my sheep. But we don't have any leftovers. The food bank is sparse. There's no special offers on just now. Feed my sheep without condition. We who have agreed to keep the faith are called to feed the sheep. So be it. Over the past few weeks, I have heard a kind of world weariness in many people that could be summed up in the refrain of the psalmist, "How long, O Lord?" Although for us today, it is how long will the restrictions of lockdown imposed by COVID-19 continue? Another way of expressing common feelings is found in our reading. People are harassed and helpless. Oh, in the minor relaxations given in Scotland recently, some have found a sample of the taste of freedom on the golf course or socially distancing in front of family in their gardens. But if you still don't miss many things in life, you're unusual just now. And of course, we miss the opportunity to gather face to face in church for activities and worship. While the most recent suggested guidelines seem to raise the hope of a resumption of activities, at least on the horizon, it is very clear that much intricate activity must go into the planning stage of that. And a lot of detailed and demanding safeguarding must continue even after things have begun to happen again. It will most definitely be a new normal. It will be difficult, but not impossible. It is a challenge. It is not a barrier. So we are still stuck in limitations. But that's a real opportunity to prepare ourselves for the new normal ahead. And that preparation has more to do with preparing our attitudes and approaches to all of life as individuals, a relationship with others, I would suggest, than the practical ordering of property and procedure for all activities, if we are going to manage the latter when they come. Jesus' immediate response to the people who were harassed and helpless was to feel compassion for them. There have been enormously encouraging glimmers of light in our present darkness, which allowed us to see real expressions of compassion and kindness towards others, whether we were giving them or receiving them. These must not become a thing of the past when we open up our experiences again. We must nurture them and develop them, share them and encourage them in all we encounter. Sometimes we talk of compassion as if it is a quality with which you were born or you're unlikely ever to get it. We describe eminently skilled doctors who are very proficient at their profession, in some cases as having no bedside manner, and almost dismiss that as something we have to accept as just being part of them. No. I would suggest that compassion is one of those attributes we can learn. Acts of kindness can be continued. Acceptance of others, even when we don't like what they do or who they are, is not only possible, it is a priority. If we are to experience healing and to share healing, our goal must be to open up an all-inclusive, welcoming, forgiving and understanding community, which seeks to model community for our country and beyond. I am passionately convinced that we can do that we can all do that. But we need to start now where we are. Most of us might say we're not happy just now. Well, maybe that's where we have to start. To look to ourselves so that we can look to others. A resource I came across this week which might help is a reflective site called actionforhappiness.org. Maybe in small but significant ways which it suggests, we can make changes even in lockdown. It might not appeal to you, or it may contain some suggestions for a way forward that can occupy an empty hour. Have a go. If we can't care for ourselves, we can't care for others. Our virtual journey of faith is not by any means finished. But you know, our glass can be half full. Yes, it's cold and wet today, but tomorrow will be a good day. So that means our journey of faith together continues. Let's use this time to explore new ways of being the church together, ways which we may well choose to keep with us, even when life opens up more fully. The harvest is plentiful, and the workers may be few. Pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest field in imaginative and innovative ways. Our friend Liz Crumlish posted this on her blog this week that struck a chord with me, and I'd like to share it with you, its insights. My fear is not that we won't get back to normal, but that we will. My fear is that in yearning for all that we miss, we will rush back to what we know. My fear is that we will forget all we have learned about how to be community in the rush to return to doing church. And then we will truly have squandered all that we have learned, the beautiful and the ugly, the obvious and the hidden. Squandered in our need to return to the comfort of the familiar. Squandered as we return to reciting our carefully crafted liturgy without living it out in the world of which it speaks and of the God to whom it points. Squandered as we go back to imagining that gospel resides within the church building or people. Squandered as we overlook the gifts of the poor to teach us about justice and care and how to build community that makes space for the other. Squandered all the gifts that the Creator has given for the redeeming of the world. Can I encourage you to listen to the songs that Carol Thompson sings this week? Stay safe, stay well, stay faithful, and be happy. Thank you.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. He makes me lie in pastures green. He leads me by the still, still waters. His goodness restores my soul. And I will trust in you alone. And I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. He guides my way in righteousness, and he anoints my head with oil, and my cup it overflows with joy. I feast on his pure delights, and I will trust in you alone, and I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follows me, your goodness will lead me home. And though I walk the darkest path, I will not fear the evil one, for you are with me and your trust in you alone, and I will trust in you alone. For your endless mercy follow me, your goodness will lead me home. Father, hear the prayer we offer, not for ease that prayer shall be, but for strength that we may ever live our lives courageously. Not forever in green pastures do we ask our way to be, but the steep and rugged pathway may we tread rejoicingly. Not forever by still waters would we idly rest and stay, but would smite the living fountains from the rocks along our way. Be our strength in hours of weakness, in our wanderings be our guide, though endeavour, failure, danger, Father, be thou at our side. You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace, and the mountains and the hills shall break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and the trees on the field shall clap their hands. And the trees of the field shall clap their hands, and the trees of the field shall clap their hands, and the trees of the field shall clap their hands, and you'll go out with joy.